Look, there's no need to yell. The members had two calls. Kelvin Davis.
Thank you, Mr Chair. Mr Chair, I'd like to start off by actually disagreeing with my colleague Nanaia Mahuta when she said that the Māori Party were having trouble justifying this bill. They don't have trouble justifying this bill. They're absolutely proud of this bill that people marched for. The Hikoi in 2004 marched against the Foreshore and Seabed Act, but they weren't being led on a hikoi, they've been led down the garden path, because this is what they've got. They've ended up with, which is little different to the previous bill. Mr. Chair, I'd just like to take issue with what Honourable John Boscawen said then about in 1840 the territorial limit was 3 miles out to sea, because Tauhina there for all of his bluster and that, he raised a good point in his interjection. He was saying, but who set that? Who set that 3 mile limit? It certainly wasn't Māori. And we're talking here about Māori customary rights and that. And what the Honourable John Boscawen is referring to is a totally European concept that in 1840 Māori were in charge of the country. So, but moving on to the bill, Mr. Chair, I'd just like to, in the definitions there of hapu, in the original bill it says hapu means a hapu listed in the constitutional documents of an iwi or is advised to the Director General by the iwi. Now, in the select committee process, there are a number of iwi who are actually concerned about that, because a number of hapu who are concerned about that because their hapu weren't necessarily listed in those constitutional documents of the iwi. And the Māhurehure tribe up in Waimar in the Hokianga were a tribe that were concerned that they may be missed out. And instead, the clause has now been changed in the SOP, and I believe rightly so, in this section and sections 50 to 52, affected iwi, hapu or whānau means iwi, hapu or whānau that exercise kaitiakitanga in a part of the common marine and coastal area where a conservation process is being considered. Now, Māhurehure are an inland iwi, but there is the Waimar River that goes right through to the Hokianga, and I would say that they'll be glad now that they will be included most definitely in this. Mr. Speaker, section 53 talks about describes the meaning of protected customary rights, and we've heard already a protected customary right is a right that has been exercised since 1840 and continues to be exercised in a particular part of the common marine and coastal area in accordance with tikanga by the applicant group, wherever it continues to be exercised in exactly the same way or a similar way or evolves over time. Mr. Chair, the bill doesn't actually give any examples of what a customary right may be, other than collecting hangi stones, I believe, and launching waka. And from what I can read, there's no real description of what it might be, and I think that this is just actually telling us as Māori that we've got the right to go and do what we've always done, such as gather pipis, go diving for kinners, pawas, scallops, whatever. It doesn't, to me, this whole part about protected customary rights is really just saying Māori have the right to go and do what we've always done on the foreshore and seabed anyway. And to me, it's almost extraneous to the whole issue. So then we move on to clause 58 and controls on exercise of protected customary rights, and basically it says at the end that the minister may impose controls including any terms, conditions or restrictions that the minister thinks fit on the exercise of customary rights. And the way I read that is that tino rangatiratanga again ends up in the hands of the minister. And I'm wondering if this is what the Māori Party set out to achieve when they, with their support of this bill, that the minister at the end of the day has the final say as to the exercising of customary rights for Māori. And I'm pretty sure that the Māori Party didn't actually, when they led the hikoi back in, Mr Chair, when they led the hikoi back in 2004, that's not what people were marching for, just at the end of the day to have the minister say, have the final say on the exercise of those customary rights. Mr Chair, there were select committee submitters who said when it came down to customary marine title and the exclusivity side of it, they said, what happens if we, as a hapu or an iwi, through our generosity, have allowed people over our land and to use the beach? And Angela Greensall, who was a candidate for the Māori Party down in Tainui, she said in Raglan there was an area of land that her tribe had opened up out of generosity. It started off as a bit of a track, and then I think the local council came along and made the road a bit tidier, and members of the community were able, through their generosity, to cross over their tribal land and go and use the beach. And now, because of this exclusivity clause, their generosity, it means that the use of that seabed, the foreshore seabed, wasn't exclusively used by Māori, so they're actually going to be disadvantaged through their own generosity. And in a similar vein, down in the Select Committee in Blenheim, hapu and iwi down there asked the question, well, what's happened is that the Crown has bulldozed the road through across their land to an area that would otherwise be totally isolated, and through an act basically of confiscation by the Crown, their foreshore and seabed has been opened up, and all and sundry can go there and make use of the foreshore and seabed. So is that fair to them, that through an act of the Crown, a confiscation, for want of a better word, that the seabed and the foreshore wasn't actually exclusively used by them and their tribe, and so they've been disadvantaged in that aspect. Mr Chair, the whole concept around wāhi tapu. Now, there's wāhi tapu areas and wāhi tapu. Now, I spoke last night about the Mātātua waka, which is our ancestral waka in Tākou Bay. Now, that is I would consider it a wāhi tapu, but it's not necessarily in an area or an area with customary marine title. And what Tūhoi say is they want their waka back, and what we say is, well, if your karakia are strong enough to refloat the Mātātua waka, come and get it. But the point of the matter is, Mr Chair, is that the Mātātua waka may not be resting in an area with customary marine title. So does that mean that Mātātua waka could still be designated as a wāhi tapu, because it's not in a customary marine, not necessarily going to be in a customary marine titled area? So that's just a question I have, Mr Speaker, around that. And just going now to the clause 60, the customary transfers. Now it says here, a transfer is a customary transfer if a customary interest in a specified area of the common marine and coastal area was transferred between or among members of the applicant group. Now, I'm not sure the purpose why an applicant group would then transfer their own customary titled area amongst themselves. And if it was possible, say Ngāpuhi was an applicant group, and Ngāpuhi spans from the east coast of Northland through to the west coast, would that mean that a customary area in the east coast could actually be transferred to our whanaunga over on the west coast, and how that would actually happen? And the other question is, can those transfers be made at a cost? Could that transfer of customary interests or customary rights actually be transferred at a cost, in which case it is sort of like selling off the customary right, albeit to an applicant group within your own, another group within your own applicant group.
Paul Quinn.
Mr Chair, I move that the question be now put.
Honourable Perekura Horami.